Hey guys, welcome to my channel Divine Truth Tarot. I am back with another video. This one's going to be a short and sweet one. I was pulling a few cards, really just kind of sitting here trying to unwind with the energies of this 444 portal. April 4th, 2020 and 2020 reduces to 4. For those of you who don't know, there's a global meditation happening tonight at 10:45 p.m. Eastern Time. So depending on where you are in the world, you'll be able to join for that. And yeah, there's some kind of wild energy. It's as if we're riding a storm right now. We're riding out the waves of the storm. It's kind of more like tsunami, a tsunami of emotions. So when you guys don't hear from me for a few days, I'm recalibrating my own energies, and I've gone through some massive upgrades over the past, well, really this entire year. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to share these cards with you. Now, this was a deck of cards gifted to me from one of my amazing clients who has been with me now for about 2 years, Laura. And thank you so much, Laura, for these beautiful cards. Now, I have yet to really use them on the channel because I didn't feel like I had mastered them enough, but they were really calling to me tonight over even the Gilded Tarot. So here they are. Before I get into this short reading, if you'd like a personal reading, I offer twin flame readings, I offer just regular tarot card readings, and I offer true purpose readings as well. In the future, I will be offering past life readings, and I'll get more into that in a future video. Or if you'd like true purpose coaching sessions, you can set that up with me. You can just reach out to me at the email below. So let's get started. So the first card that came out was this Palace of Swords. For this card, so these Palace cards, and it was interesting because 2 of them came up for this reading. These cards are unique to this deck. I have yet to see Palace cards in another deck. So this was the first one that really flew out. The Palace cards indicate the environment. So if there's a card like an Emperor or a King or a Queen, which there is in this reading, so that indicates the environment that King, Queen, Emperor, Empress are kind of residing in or chilling out in or hanging out in at this time. Swords, as we know, is all about the intellect, the intellectual mind. And one of the first things I noticed about this card was the futuristic vibe that it really gives you. Especially you'll see, because the Palace of Wands also came up a little later in the reading. So the Palace of Swords to me is all about making decisions, sharp intellect, getting really clear with oneself as to what one really desires. Put it up a little closer so you can see. This is a very sophisticated palace that's being created. So this really spoke to me and told me just right off the bat that the masculines are really busy mentally creating this life that they desire. Wanting to give, their feminine the penthouse suite, which is the way that I see this, and the way it's described in the book as well. But it definitely has a futuristic theme to it, which I thought was also interesting given the nature of what's going on in the world right now, with global events, that we are living in the future and we are creating a new reality. So how wonderful to have that reflected in the first card. Now, these cards are all about the masculine, so this is going to be just a masculine reading today. The second card that came up was the 8 of Wands. And what you see here is just the fire and the passion energy, which is inherent in any 8 of Wands card. So I really love the beautiful depictions on these cards. They're very unique. You see the birds that are kind of just caught, kind of flying around and swirling around, kind of unable to detach themselves from the wand energy because it's so powerful. And as you know, the 8 of Wands is all about forward movement. It's fast, furious forward movement. It's like a sprint versus a long run, a sprint versus, I can't think of the word. a marathon, a sprint versus a marathon. So this would be the sprint card, really wanting to take action fast. So that's what's on the mind of the masculine. So we have the Palace of Swords card followed by the Eight of Wands, which tells me that the masculines are really in this place of wanting to move forward. They're still thinking about it. They're still creating it. They're still crafting the idea, perfecting it, because a lot of these masculines are very perfectionistic, type A, and they want to make sure that they don't come to their feminine, you know, with crumbs, excuse me, through, wow. Okay, so, okay, throat chakra blockage, wow. Okay, I felt like I just choked out of nowhere. So the masculines are not yet ready to talk about it. They are not yet ready. This probably would not be the time to reach out unless you feel strongly guided to. Of course, you know, always use your own discernment and your own guidance. But I really felt like they're really feeling blocked right now. So they're still in their heads about creating this forward movement, but they definitely want to come forward. They're just not taking action yet. That was really clear, really clear. So don't pressure them, feminines, to come forward. Next, we have the Lovers. So this is what's on their mind. You know, you're on their mind, divine feminine. And I wanted to really reinforce this in the reading because with separation, it's easy to think that your masculine has forgotten about you, that you don't matter, if they're with family or they have a karmic partner, you know, or they're just tied up in a job or whatever the case. It's easy to kind of feel like you've been forgotten, like you don't matter. I've seen a lot of feminines express that recently, and I felt it myself. So this is just reassuring you that you are on their minds. Remember, we're talking about the Palace of Swords. We're talking about the headspace, okay? The mind of the divine masculine. So it's on his feminine, and it's that union that he desires with his feminine. So I'm going to go next to the Ace of Wands, which was the next card that came up here. So you notice we actually have 3 Wands cards in this reading, and 3 out of 8 cards we have 3 major arcana cards. So this indicates a pretty nice blend, a pretty solid blend of you know, the human self, right? The masculine's actually taking that 3D, you know, minor arcana cards are more about the 3D physical world, and the major arcana cards are coming in to sweep out and bring in the change, and those are the cards that the universe is really creating and helping us to craft the life that we desire. So there's a nice blend of that in this reading. So 3 Wands cards. So Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, your divine masculine may be a fire sign, or you may be a fire sign, or this is just indicating that there's a lot of passionate, fiery, really pent up, gosh, there's frustration, aggression, anger, but there's also desire, lust, you know, sexual thoughts, and really wanting to just be with you in that way. What's really interesting is we have the 8 of Wands and the Ace of Wands. So these to me, I don't know if you guys can see both of those. So these to me are about new beginnings. So the aces are about new beginnings, fresh starts. This is all about the energy of change. And you have both of these. Not only are they both Wands cards, but they're both signifying change. You know, 8 of Wands is saying, let's do this. Let's bring in rapid, you know, really sweeping change, which is happening in their lives. And then the Ace of Wands is bringing in that fresh new beginning. So they're really just reinforcing the strength of the other one, the cards. So I think that's really a solid reading. The next card that came up was the Emperor, which I love. So we've got the Emperor and the Lovers. So this is a divine masculine showing you that he is being transformed into your Emperor. So this is confirmation and validation that he is in fact becoming that Emperor. And because we have 2 Palace cards, I'll be showing you the second one in a moment, but because we have 2 Palace cards, this is telling us that the environment that the divine masculine is in. So he is in his headspace. He is creating this this plan, okay? He's crafting this plan, and let's go ahead and take that card. So then we have the Palace of Wands, so that 3rd Wands card that I talked about, fire sign, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, or just fiery, passionate energy. So this talks about the Emperor, and notice how this palace is very different. So let's take a look at that. So this palace is really, it's lush. It feels more homey. I mean, it's also very indulgent. But to me, this is more of a card that speaks of home life, you know, that the masculine wants to build with his feminine, whereas the Swords card is definitely more about the mind. This is about movement. This is about bringing in that change, fresh new beginnings, shifts, revelations occurring, and this is what's happening. You know, this is the environment right now of the masculine. So the masculine is in this place of deep thought and contemplation about the future, and also action oriented towards that future. And then we have the Three of Coins. And so this is really just signifying a masculine who is hard at work. He's hard at work creating that future that he desires. So the masculines are still focused on work. They're just having to cut back their hours, and they're having to work from home. So things have shifted. And trust that in that space and time where things have shifted, that, you know, they are actually, there is more downtime, especially, you know, everyone is stuck at home right now. So we're stuck in this place where we're forced to think about our lives and our decisions and our ideals and our goals and our dreams and our belief systems and our values and our, you know, our life in general, who we are, where we're going, where we've come from. And our shadow side is coming up, the shadow side that we've been able to suppress by staying busy and by distracting ourselves with work and going out and exercising and social events and relationships. You know, all of that has come to a screeching halt, including, you know, the physical relationship for most of us with our counterpart. That's also been put on hold. So just know that, you know, they are still focused on work, but more than that, I see this as a card of creation and creativity. And that's what I see in the Palace of Wands too. You know, this card of creation and creativity and imagination. So I want to go back to the Emperor for 1 second. So notice how this Emperor is ruling his empire. So we have 3 cards, you know, indicating an empire, indicating a kingdom. And that's really telling the divine feminine. This is a message from the masculine saying, I am becoming this emperor, and I am going to rule over my kingdom. I am going to transform into that man that you need and deserve and desire. I am coming. So trust, divine feminine. I mean, this emperor is very solid and sure of himself. There's confidence. Okay, there's confidence. He knows who he is and he knows where he's going. He knows his power. But he's not overusing it. He's using it for the good. He's using it to love deeper, to connect deeper. And lastly, the Wheel came up. So another major arcana card. And of course, the wheel is turning right now. It's turning and nobody has control. Everybody has lost control over their personal life, over, you know, their jobs, their futures. Nothing is certain. And of course, nothing else ever was, but people had the illusion, you know, the illusion that if I'm in a relationship or I'm married to someone, that I own that person, that I can control that person, that I can control my life and my bank account, that I can control my career, the direction of my career, that I can control other people to do, you know, put them in, you know, a certain compartment in my life so that my life is exactly how it's supposed to be. You know, all those ways in which people have tried to control each other and control themselves and control life, that's just being completely demobilized and it's being shattered. And all of those illusions, all of those masks are coming off because people have nowhere to hide. And people have nowhere to hide from themselves. You can't hide from yourself when you're stuck inside with yourself 24/7. And especially if you're stuck with a karmic partner like some of the masculines are, there's nowhere to hide. You can't really go outside. You can't really go to the store except for essentials. So where do you go? You know, you're faced with the reality of that relationship. You're faced with the demise of certain friendships and relationships in your life. And you're faced with the truth of those relationships, you know, family relationships and friendships, jobs that weren't serving you, any sort of connection that wasn't serving you in your life. You're really facing it right now. And the masculines are facing it because the wheel is turning, because the future is coming. Just because humans have slowed down and, you know, been stuck inside for weeks now, doesn't mean that the world stops. Nature continues. You know, we've witnessed that. We've witnessed some beautiful things happening where, you know, the earth is breathing. The earth is taking a break and a pause. This is a time of sacred pause and reset. And as that's happening, you know, humans are taking a pause. We're healing. The wheel is turning. And so the masculine, fight as he might, although I don't feel like he's fighting it really anymore, but fight as he might, the wheel is turning. And there really is no control over what's happening. So he's learning to surrender control. He's learning to tap into that feminine energy of surrender and letting go, and just really saying, you know, I trust the universe. I trust that I'll meet up again with my divine feminine. I trust that even though, you know, if you're not in contact, you know, he's trusting that everything's going to work out, because he feels like he's just fought for too long. He's tired. He's tired of fighting for a life that doesn't even belong to him anymore. He's tired of deceiving himself and people in his life and his feminine, his counterpart. He's tired of pretending. He's tired of shrouding himself in illusion. He's really looking at his life going, this isn't what I want. This isn't who I am. So these cards really blew me away with the power and the story that they are showing of what's going on in our masculines' lives, because many of us are not in, you know, constant communication right now. And that's for a reason. That's for our protection, and it's for their growth, and of course our growth and healing as well. Both counterparts are being held back from one another at this time because it's necessary. We have bigger fish to fry. The world needs us, and divine feminines are really being called into their purpose. So it's not that these connections are put on hold, even if it feels like that. It's not that they're going backwards. It's actually that we're just taking a breather. We're giving each other space, and we're trusting in the depth of the connection, and we're trusting that we'll come back together when the time is right. So I trust that this reading served you well. I trust that you were able to, you know, obtain the clarity and the depth that you really were searching for tonight. I sense that a lot of people are really in need of this tonight. I hope that this was comforting in letting you know that your counterpart is, you know, he's thinking about you. He's working on himself. He's healing. He's growing. And he really wants to come forward, but he's devising that plan, and he's going to make sure it's perfect. And he sees this future, you know, he's getting creative. You know, a lot of them are starting to meditate, you know, as they slow down, and they're really starting to think about what it is that they want. And you are in that picture. You are such a big part of who they are, and they see you in their future, and they're starting to really realize that now, that as the wheel turns, that there's no denying this connection. There's no shutting the door on it. There's no stopping it. It's that powerful, and it's destined. So trust that this is a destined connection. It's a force of nature. It's beyond what any of us can imagine, you know, on this earthly realm. So trust in that. Meditate if you can, and join the global meditation at 10:45 Eastern time tonight. That'll be different times for everybody depending on where you are in this great big world. I'm sending you guys lots of love and healing energies, and I hope to be back with another reading tomorrow. And have a blessed night. I'll see you guys soon.